Chapter 15. After Rama left the cottage, Elred and Talon sat for a while in silence. Talon was glad that Elred had come after her, especially since Rogan was so prepared to leave her for dead. As if reading her thoughts, Elred said, "I hope Rogan isn't mad at me for coming after me?" "No, he might think Rama and I eloped." Talon began to giggle. It had been a long time since she laughed. Truly laughed, and it felt good. "It is nice to hear you laugh, child," Yana said, bringing 2 bowls of soup. Elred dived into it while Talon played with a spoon. "Aren't you hungry?" Elred said, looking up from his half-finished bowl. "I might be," Talon said. "I haven't really eaten since yesterday, but only Smil would know." "I've been thinking," Yana said, sitting down with her own bowl of soup. "There may be something nearby that could help you and Smil. Mountain Home keeps many secret treasures. That's why the Draconians were coming. From what you said, one of those secrets is a pool hidden deep in the mountains. It holds such knowledge, and if you choose to go there, you may find out more about this pendant you wear. Perhaps how to break the spell?" Talon could hardly breathe. "Perhaps." Yana took Talon's bowl of untouched soup. "Perhaps not. The pool can be choosy about to whom it reveals its secrets." "Talon, we have to go there!" Albert rose to his feet, but before he could move further, there was a loud explosion and the ground shook beneath them. Earthenware jars leaped off the shelves and crashed to the floor, spilling herbs. "Over here!" Yana shouted. Albert pulled Talon out of the bed and half carried, half dragged her to the front doorway. The 3 of them braced themselves in the frame until the shaking stopped. "What was that?" Albert asked, peeking out the door. "The Draconians," Talon said, remembering the fight Smil had before. "They explode when killed." Yana gasped. "How horrible!" She began gathering up herbs and putting them in a basket she tied at her waist. "I'll go see if anyone needs help." "Now?" Talon said. "You're crazy. They could still be out there." "That's why they'll need my help." She grabbed a fistful of dried leaves from one of the broken jars on the floor, then fastened the lid on the basket. "I'll go with you," Elred said. He rose to his feet, but Yana pushed him back down. "No, you stay here with Tadelin. She encountered these beasts before and escaped. Who knows what they'd do to her if they find her?" With those comforting words, Rana raced out the door, leaving herb dust in her wake. Elred placed a hand on Talen's undamaged shoulder. "What did they do to you?" Talon shuddered. "I'd rather not talk about it now." "The dragon saved you, didn't she?" Elred glanced out the open door. "It seems as though everything I ever thought about dragons was turned upside down today. First I see how these villagers revere a bronze dragon. Then I find that the founder of the heirs of Huma herself has been saved by a dragon." "Well, I doubt she wouldn't save me if we weren't linked," Talon said. "Saving me meant she wouldn't feel my pain." "Still," Elred said, "I see how they treat Smil, and how they treat you, as if you're equals and friends. Is it possible that people like these, who took you in and healed you, would love an evil creature?" Elred's green eyes searched Talon's violet ones. Talon opened her mouth to answer, but a horrible yell made her and Elred look up. A Draconian raced toward them, sword raised. Elred pushed Talon back inside the house and drew his bow, loosing an arrow that bounced harmlessly off the Draconian's armor. Elred flung his bow to the side and drew his sword as the Draconian reached the cottage. Talon shrank back in the cottage as the swords struck each other again and again. Her hands shook and she realized that she still felt the ill effects of fear, even though she no longer felt pain. This was the same type of Draconian that had tortured her in the forest. Elred faltered, and the Draconian struck him across one arm. He switched his sword to his other hand, but he wasn't as adept with that arm. Talon had to do something, but what could she do without her clerical powers? Looking wildly around the cottage for something, anything that could be a weapon, Talon spotted a poker near the hearth. Praying to Mishkael that her legs would not collapse, she ran across the room and grabbed the poker with her good arm. Elred and the Draconian were still fighting, but Elred's bows were becoming more erratic. With a loud cry, Talon ran back to the doorway. Shoving Elred out of the way, she thrust the poker into the Draconian's throat. It stumbled back 2 paces, then collapsed just outside the front door. "Talon, move!" Elred grabbed Talon and half carried, half flung her across the room. Moments later, the Draconian exploded, sending chunks of wood and dried mud flying everywhere. When the debris cleared, Talon looked back at the door. or what used to be the door. A large jagged hole now provided entrance to Yana's cottage. Elbert shook his head. I didn't know you could fight, he said, getting to his feet and offering a hand to Talon. Neither did I, Talon said, allowing Elbert to pull her off the floor with his good arm. She sat back down on the bed before she unwillingly did any more damage to herself. Draconians terrify me. I just had no choice. I'm glad you did, Elbert said. I think it would have gotten the better of me in the end. It would only be fitting, I suppose. Elbert then clamped his mouth shut as though he had said too much. Why would that be fitting? I told you a silver dragon killed my parents. Talon nodded. That was the story Elbert told when they spoke at various towns. I never told you that I know why the dragon killed them. My parents were carrying cargo on that last voyage. Silver dragon eggs. Silver dragon eggs? Talon murmured, not quite understanding. But if they carried eggs, then why would a silver dragon? They were to become draconians, Elbert burst out. My parents were transporting eggs so that they could be transformed into those beasts. My parents didn't care. All my parents heard was the sound of steel being dropped into their palms. Talon gasped, startled at the mercenary bent of Elbert's parents. Then the dragon was only trying to protect her eggs from a fate worse than death. That night I heard my parents shouting orders, and I ran up on the deck. I looked up at the sky and saw a huge shape blotting out the stars, a dragon. The moonlight reflected off its scales, and I could see it was a silver dragon. I had never seen a dragon, but I always thought the silver ones were good. And then Albert choked. Talon reached out and patted his shoulder. It's all right, she said. I know what happened. No, you don't, Elbert burst out. That silver dragon must have been trying to rescue them. She kept diving at us, but not attacking. She must have seen that she couldn't save the eggs, so she sank the ship. Elbert's eyes glittered fiercely. She killed her own eggs rather than let them turn into draconians. Talon shuddered. She had heard tales of people killing their children rather than letting them be taken by the enemy. Were dragons so different from humans? Talon struggled for something to say and could think of nothing. Suddenly her grief over Briggs seemed so small. She at least had known him very well, probably better than she knew herself. To have lost your parents and still, years after the fact, have to question what you knew about them seemed such a heavy burden. She would do anything if she could only tell Elbert that his parents were certainly good people caught in a situation they didn't understand. She would have spent the rest of her life linked to Samil if she could only take away Elbert's pain. Rama appeared in the doorway, breathing heavily and covered with dust and scratches. She looked satisfied, despite her disarray. Are you all right? Talon asked. The battle? The villagers have it under control, with Samil's help. I blasted a couple of draconians with magic myself on my way here. Raman rushed forward, looking at the damaged cottage. Are you all right? All right, your arm. Talon and Rama used Yana's supplies to bind Albert's wound. As they did, Talon told Rama about the pool. As soon as Samil gets back, Talon said, we'll go there. End of chapter 15. Bye.